Going on? Oh my goodness. Is it Halloween yet? I don't know. This is so crazy. Okay. John D. Villarreal here for the John D. Villarreal Show, along with Paul F. Villarreal. It is October 30th, day before Halloween, but woo, trick or treat, trick or treat. Here we go. President Biden apparently called, we don't know. There was a garbage comment. A lot of people are reading into this. In my opinion, that did he call Trump supporters garbage? We're going to check it out. Mark Halperin takes it even further and expands this to a lot of Democrat officials, elected officials. I'll let him speak for himself. Well, a lot of people have been reacting to this overnight. We were going to do something like late at night. I mean, it's just nonstop. As we get close to the election here, Paul, to November 5th, next Tuesday, you're having, I mean, it is a 24/7, 365, type of cycle here, news cycle, if you will. Well, not 365, but it's nonstop. Now, people have been talking about this. I want to immediately get to the clips. We have so many clips to get to. I don't know how long the show is going to be, 30, 60 minutes, probably an hour, to be honest with you, just because there's so many clips here. And we're going to lay out the evidence here, and we're going to talk to you and take your comments. We are live now on Rumble, live on YouTube, live on X, live on Facebook. We post this probably to LinkedIn, maybe not 100% on that, so don't hold me to that. But, Paul, these comments and the buzz over the weekend, overnight, what do you make of this? What's happened on X? You're big on X. You can follow Paul on X. He's got a lot of followers there. It continues to grow. What's the buzz out there?
Look, the buzz is, and we talked about this off air, the buzz is big. And the way I compared it to with you off of the air was to the famous old WWE Stone Cold Steve Austin 316 promo. The reason why I said that was because the incident happened when Steve Austin cut the promo at a pay-per-view on whatever Saturday or Sunday, whatever it was, and the next day on Raw, everybody showed up with Austin 316 signs. And so what you saw this morning and now today on X is people with garbage cans as a profile picture, various Grok AI versions of like MAGA dump truck, garbage dump truck. It has spread like wildfire. It's been a massive, massive reaction to this. And I think that it's not good timing for the Kamala Harris campaign. And on the other hand, I think it's very well timed situation for President Trump and his supporters, because I think they've got the energy back now. They've got the momentum back now. That's what it feels like, and everybody is rolling with this. The Democrats are on defense.
Well, and it's not just a political thing, and it's not just scoring points and all that. I mean, I want to get. We have some news here. I mean, we're not necessarily breaking it, but I mean, news was, I think, broken today with Mark Halperin's two-way podcast with Sean Spicer and his other guests, which is just unbelievable what was said here, and you're going to see it like within less than minutes here. But I think that I don't want to say we were trying to suss out like what's the real here, like what's going on here. We're not the arbiters of truth, anything. It's all personal opinion, speculation, all that type of stuff. But it's like, dude, people have been trying to find out what does Kamala think? What's her campaign about? What are the policies? There's been this whipsaw of, I'm for the wall, now I was against the wall, now I'm for it. I mean, all these different things, and there just seems to be, a how do I want to call it? A center of gravity, if you will, with some of these things that are starting to coalesce, I believe. And people are starting to get a picture, and they don't like it. I don't want to belabor the point anymore. Let's get right to what President Biden said. Jesse Waters and his guests had some comments. Let's go to that. Give me a second to tee this up. You also have Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary on there as well. And there's a lot to talk about here, and we're going to get right into it. So let's see. Let me just get this lined up right here. And here we go. Jesse Waters and his guests. And I will interject during these clips as I usually do, and with some comments. We have a lot of clips to go to. Here we go.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is just supporters.
The only garbage they see is out there is his support. Now we're going to replay that clip a lot, so don't worry that if you didn't hear the full blast, the first time, if you didn't catch it, well, maybe say this, maybe say we're going to replay that clip a lot. There's transcripts, there's everything like that. Let's see what's going now. The audio is a little bit low here. Let me see if I get. I don't think I can make it that much louder. Here we go.
Only garbage I see out there are his supporters.
No, it is the deplorables moment again. I'm really surprised he said that, because when you're called
the deplorables, that's Hillary Clinton, that the people supporting Donald Trump the first time were a basket of deplorables. And we'll probably hear that clip again as well. And it's just, there's been this theme running for quite some time. And so, now there's an attempt to walk this back. Oh, he meant the person making the joke, but I mean, you're seeing it time and time again from the Democratic Party. And Mark Halperin has explosive comments, honestly, in my opinion, explosive comments. And I just want to lay some stuff out here. We've got reaction from voters in Pennsylvania. Well, how do they feel about this? We've got Molly Hemingway and other people, using the garbage memes. There's so much to get to here. It's just clip after clip after clip, because as I told Paul when I'm setting up the show, if you just focus on the Biden comments, then they can try to, maneuver it. But we need to just, show just so many different clips here, obviously with our commentary, and let the voters decide. What do you think about this? Let's continue here with Jesse Waters and his guest. This is Mr. Wonderful Shark Tank member, Kevin O'Leary.
Human garbage. It motivates you to get off your rear end, off the sofa, and go and vote. I wouldn't do that in the 43 counties where people are saying, it may be raining, I don't think I'm going to do it. But the president of the United States just called me garbage. I'm a little pissed off about that.
So this could be a motivating factor. This could be a get out the vote factor. But also, it's just about the worldview. It's like, you're president of everyone. And Kevin O'Leary talks about that. What's the mindset? Now, in fairness, Kamala Harris came out today. I think she had pretty good comments. Not perfect, but and there's some, so there's some errors there, in my opinion, and we'll talk about that. But I mean, I think that they're getting, and we have reports, don't know if they're true or not, that there could be some real disarray in her campaign. This is definitely a crisis, a PR crisis, in my opinion. So she had to react fast. She has, but we're going to talk about all this.
I think I'm going to go stand in line and I'm going to vote. I think that was a mistake, and I'm sure it's going to get a ton of social media tomorrow.
Of course.
I mean, I know he wishes he could take that back. He is the president of all that garbage. Remember, he represents everybody.
He represents everybody. He's the president of everyone. Now, Kevin O'Leary said, Paul, that this was a mistake. But Mark Halperin, on the two-way podcast that he has, he had some pretty strong comments. And now let's see what Mark Halperin says about this, and if he thinks that this was a quote unquote, and his guests think that this was a quote unquote mistake. And I dare say that I don't think, my read of it is, I don't think any of them thought that this was a mistake. So let's see what they have to say about this right now.
And video, which we'll watch in a moment. Please get ready with 101. Is the way he said supporters, sounds like he means multiple, but then he says his, which to me means he was trying to talk about the guy.
So Mark's, is he giving him that psychological out, like, oh, maybe it's just a slip. It's just Biden. So it was just a mistake, Paul. It's just Biden. That's why Kamala's running, all that type of stuff. But there's so much more stuff here. And watch how his guest pushes back, and then Halperin, in my opinion, pulls the curtain. And now Wizard of Oz here. Here we go. Let's play.
So play 101, and then you guys can tell me what you think of it.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable.
The only garbage I see is his supporters. Now, this is Voto Latino. He's doing a Zoom call with them. This is the same night as Kamala Harris's big, address there in Washington, D.C. Very strange. Let's continue this and wait till you see what his guest says.
And it's un-American.
So I see it both ways. Dan, what do you think he meant?
Oh, I think he meant his supporters. With all due respect to my fellow Democrats, I do not think he was just talking about.
Wait. Wait a minute. I see it both ways there. Now, Halperin's been trying, Paul, bring you in here for a second. We're going to play the rest of this. Halperin's been trying to kind of finesse it, kind of playing it both sides. And, oh, maybe Trump's going to win. Or maybe Harris is going to win. And they're going to, and you can see as they get closer here, some of the, in my opinion, more left-leaning commentators, pollsters, opinion people are getting maybe a little nervous, kind of hedging a little bit. I mean, maybe they thought like, okay, well, we can, it's like it's getting real now, and I think some of them are getting worried here. Actually, before I bring you in, let me just play a little bit more of this because this is you're going to want to hear this
about the comedian. I mean, look, there's two things here. One is that, the signs of old age and loss of acuity are that you lose your filter and you get pretty blunt.
Okay, so that's going to be, along with the Biden, that's one of the, excuses, if you will, whatever. Again, it's just Biden, and that's why Kamala's running, and Joe, and okay, but then watch Dan Turrentine here, and he's a Democrat, right? I mean, I think he's been involved in politics for a bit now. I don't know his whole background, so forgive me on that. I do apologize, Dan. I know he said it sometimes, and he's respected and whatever on that side. I just forget it. So here we go.
And when I think of the last couple months, there are a few things that Joe Biden has said that have been helpful to Kamala Harris. I think this is just another.
That's the undercurrent too. Has Biden lost his quote unquote political fastball, or is there real heat, real enmity, real animosity between Biden and Harris? And there's a lot of reports that yes, there is. Some people have even speculated that maybe he's trying to intentionally hurt or sink the Harris campaign. We'll get to that later. I don't want to bury the headline. This is the punchline right here coming up. Here we go.
Other instance, I also think, and it's really frustrating, I think it's what he believes.
Oh,
and I think we hear it
Well,
on
of course, let's be clear. It's what almost every Democrat elected official in the country actually believes.
That is what I was going to be the rest of my sentence. I mean,
what? Wait a minute. Players. That's the headline of the day. That's the headline of the day. There is no bigger headline than that. Let's replay that. Let's replay that. I don't want to make sure everyone understands what we just said, what was just said right there. Now remember, this is someone that has been an intrepid political reporter for years, appeared on Morning Joe, was doing the circus on HBO with Mark, the other guy, I'm blanking for a second. I know that did do with the hat that used to be the Bush guy and stuff like that. I mean, he is deep in there. He's got all kinds of contacts. This is someone that would know. Both of them are some, but particularly Halperin. I want to play that again just so you understand what was said there. So this isn't just Biden. This isn't just a slip. Oh, it's a mistake. Oh, it was the apostrophe. It's the possessive. He was talking about. No, listen to this one more time.
And I think we hear it on the.
Wait.
I think, for instance, I also think, and it's really frustrating, I think it's what he believes. And I think we hear it on the.
Let's be clear. It's what almost every Democrat elected official in the country actually believes.
That is what I was going to be the rest.
It's what almost every elected Democrat official in the country actually believes. That's my paraphrase. You can listen to yourself. Unbelievable. Let's hear the rest of that.
Rest of my sentence. I mean, look, we hear it on this platform, right? That like, how could
we hear it on the platform? That's the thing. They just been going on all week about how the MSG rally was so hateful, and it was like 1930s. It was like Germany. It's like it's Orange Man bad. And I've seen all kinds of clips of Harris supporters shouting at we've seen shouting at kids, shouting at other people, ripping up signs, and it's a one-off. But there's so many one-offs. It's not a one-off. Last thing, and I'll bring Paul in.
Would anyone vote for Donald Trump, and whether they think they're stupid or garbage? And so, just as the comics statement.
There you go, Paul. Your comments.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, as a former liberal myself, can tell you that there are a lot of people that feel that way. In fact, somebody that's, that we both know, I was talking to them the other day, and they essentially said to me, how can you vote for that guy? How can you vote for him? And, basically implying that you're low intelligence and everything if you do that. So I think Halperin and Turpentine are correct. That is a widespread belief among a lot of people, in my opinion, in the Democrat Party. It's just that Biden actually said it.
Absolutely. And again, I don't want to make this about me and swerving to that or whatever like that. What you just said, I'll put up on the screen here. We got JD Vance responded, Vinod Khosla. Now I'll give context on all of that here in a second. One of the reasons why I think we were potentially quote unquote canceled, over a decade ago, like, a long time ago, honestly, well over a decade and a half ago, about before anyone knew what that was, stuff like that, is that people were potentially flipping out. I am, we're, half Hispanic, if you will, in my family, stuff like that. You can check the last name and all that. My dad was pretty big time for his level in the government, and people talked about maybe people wanted him in the Clinton administration, in my opinion. Okay. My brother was up for the Biden administration, and I'm a super genius. That's documented. I don't want to get into all that type of stuff. I've done a lot of different things, national champion powerlifting, practicing in Silicon Valley, Walter Wilson Sonsini in a venture capital fund with the former CEO of Apple. I've done so many different things. I was on national TV. I've trained professional athletes, on and on and on. Players back then, with the rise of Obama and the stuff like that, maybe let's say the Democrats weren't super happy to see a conservative minority who's looking good, walking the walk, talking the talk. I mean, as Ric Flair would say, styling and profiling, cranking the M5, hanging out with models, doing all kinds of stuff. Dude, believe me, I was living the life. Okay. I'm not saying I didn't cross any lines, didn't do any, crazy. I'm not a soapbox here. I'm saying not about that, but it was picture after picture after picture hanging out. I had, Playboy Playmates, Penthouse Pets of the Year over at my house and stuff like that. I was invited to all the parties, stuff like that. Dude, it was ridiculous. And I'm not saying that I'm happily married now and everything. My wife's amazing and I'm so blessed and thankful and everything like that. But what I'm talking about is you have the picture of manhood in Tim Walz, okay, on the Democrat side. And I don't want to devolve into all this type of stuff. And then you have, people like you've got a whole list of people, on the Republican side. Just contrast Tim Walz and Donald Trump. Donald Trump takes a bullet to the ear, gets up and says, fight, 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 players. And so it's like, yeah, they don't want to see stuff like that. Why do you think they flip out on Candace Owens? Why do you think they flip out on the Hodge twins? Why do you think they flip out on Officer Tatum? Why do they flip out on so many people, Paul? And we're seeing, and Bill Ackman, and there's many, many more. So this is not a one-time thing. This is a long time coming thing. Okay, and why do they think they flipped out on Diamond and Silk? Okay, so there's so much to this. And I don't want to make it about me and Paul, but you lived it too, Paul. You went through this too. You went through the shaming. And in other words, one of the reasons they flipped out is not just the conservative minority thing, in my opinion, but it's also that I was accomplished. I was a professional. I was in Silicon Valley. I was a venture capitalist. I was a lawyer out there in California. And I'm a super genius. And they couldn't handle that. Because there's been this concerted attempt by the Democrats, by the left, to characterize Republicans, conservatives, and certainly Trump voters now, particularly anyone that's populist. So Buchanan, Ross Perot, now Trump, as stupid, uneducated. Why do you think all these polls college-educated people are supporting the Democrats? Well, college-educated, if you have a graduate degree or PhD or something like that. So the fact that I've got 3 advanced degrees from elite schools, the last ones with honors and a 4.0 from Johns Hopkins, crushing it, got honors in some of my classes there at Berkeley Law School, got nothing but A's at Berkeley Business School, Haas, when I took some of those as electives. Dude, they can't, that doesn't compute. Why do you think they flip out at a JD Vance, Yale Law? Why do you think they flip out Hillbilly Elegy at a Vivek Ramaswamy, billionaire, Yale Law? Why do you think they flip out at a John Yoo, Yale Law at Berkeley, and someone who's been, doing out there, doing great work for a long time? Why do you think they flip out at someone like Harmeet Dillon or Laura Ingraham, from University of Virginia Law? Paul, there's a new generation, and JD Vance's wife, and Vivek's wife, and I mean, it's on and on and on. It's a new generation, and they can't contain it anymore. But this smear it wasn't just a one-time thing, and it wasn't just last night. It's been a long time coming. Your experience, Paul, before I tee up this JD Vance thing.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, as you said, we both have gone through it. We've seen many other people go through it as well. And I think that I think that a lot of people on the left have kind of a moral superiority complex.
Right.
You know, they want to believe that they're right and they're the good and they're the just. And so I think, potentially it's easier for them to simply want to believe that people that support Trump are garbage, are low intellect, are low, not super educated and so forth. That makes it simpler for them because then there's less cognitive dissonance. They don't have to think about, hey, maybe they support Trump for real reasons and maybe because he has good policies. It's simpler if they can just put him in a little box and say they're over there and they're not that educated and they're not that really informed and they're garbage.
So let me see.
So
Sorry,
yeah, so we've experienced this tons of time, and I think that's what it is.
Not to cut you off, I want to say this, and I'm going to be real careful here because you understand what I'm saying, players. Before I forget, to make the logical loop here. Why is this so important? Why is this so important? Why do they need to do this? There is a moral superiority. It's because, in my opinion, potentially, I'm being very, very careful, that their policies are not popular, that they can't win straight up. Why do you think there's all this bias in the media? Why do they have the need for? You can't let one platform be free speech like X, that flip out on it because it doesn't go with the way people would normally go. It doesn't go with it. If you okay. My sister, and I gotta be careful with all this stuff. So, but just make a good point. My sister, people like what they like, dude. There's physics in the world. There's biology in the world. Okay. So my sister, who was a liberal before she got married, I'd consider her kind of moderate right now. Dude, she would, she loved U2 and Green Day and all this type of stuff and go to the concerts and went to Cornell and I hear all this blah, 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 blah. Okay. And, I love my sister. Don't get me But who does she end up marrying? She ends up marrying a dude that's 6'5", pretty stacked, used to be a rower for Cornell, stuff like that. Big dude, athlete, undergrad, Cornell engineering, MBA from Cornell. The dude was I don't know what you call it, hunk, whatever, fill in the blank. I'm trying to keep it, clean here and stuff like that. And lo and behold, has a couple kids, and lo and behold, kind of changes her mind over time. Now she's kind of moderate, maybe kind of sees hey, maybe Trump's not so bad. I mean, I'm not saying I have no idea how she's voting. In other words, that's the kind of guy that she was attracted to. So all this gobbledygook aside, if the propaganda is not complete, people end up doing and living their lives and voting a different way. No different than I didn't want to marry a woman like Rachel Maddow or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? Whatever. Date a lot of liberal women, stuff like that, whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to get into this and get in trouble. But as Paul knows, my wife is super smart and super tough. And if she doesn't like something, believe me, I'll get an earful. And I'm sure a lot of guys can sympathize with me on that one. But that's cool. You know what I mean? So it's not about strength. It's not about it's about that the left has to control through the cultural revolution, through coercion, through propaganda, through force, sometimes potentially. How do we know this? Look back not that long ago as a metaphor with the pandemic. if you didn't do what they want to do, you're losing your job. You might not get to travel. You might not get to see your kids. Who knows? Maybe your kids can't go to school. Maybe you can't go to a hospital, whatever that it is. You're seeing it not just here. You're seeing it in New Zealand and in different Canada before, different places. We love these places. Maybe I'm wrong if I, reserve the right to revise and extend stuff like that. I'm not an expert anywhere else. Just going off news reports. And so as part of that, you have to, if that was your plan, not allege anything, you would want to shame people. You don't want to be over here. The cool kids are over here. Celebrity. Why do you think that they pull so much from celebrity endorsements? Yeah, you're not going to endorse Kamala Harris, Usher, and stuff like that. And Usher comes down and endorses Kamala Harris. So in other words, it's this need to control the narrative and shame the other people. That's where you get the basket of deplorables. Because those people don't have money. They don't look good. They're not educated. They're lesser than. It's not a one-off, unfortunately. But when you go out there and again, like, it's like War of the Worlds, and you open your door, and me and Paul talk about this analogy all the time. The aliens haven't landed and everything's fine. When you go talk to your neighbor who may have voted for Trump or may have voted for Harris, they're fine. But when you create a system where, hey, you can't get a good job. You can't go into big law. You can't go into big consulting. You can't go into Hollywood. They talked about the being blacklisted from Hollywood and stuff like that, being a conservative. That's why they had the certain group and stuff like that. It's out there now, but I don't want to name the name where you had it was underground to be a conservative. And you see all these professions and they're trying to increase it. Then, the military has gone woke. Academia's been woke. You couldn't get into a top school. There's all these questions and proxies. I've been applying to some of these schools, and it's like, if it's almost like if you don't, and I love a lot of these schools, but it's like if you don't pledge some kind of, it feels like, in my opinion, I could be wrong, sometimes perhaps, that if you don't pledge some allegiance to and prove your bona fides that you're super liberal, you're out. And that's where you get a lot of people, I don't want to name names, stuff like that are kind of on some pretty famous podcasts that are kind of finger in the wind. Which way is the wind blowing? And now we're getting reports that Wall Street's freaking out. They're scared because Trump might win because they went all in, a lot of them, for Harris. You get a lot of people that may be sellouts because they really don't care. And it's about what's going to get me my job, what's going to get me money. It's very transactional, very Machiavellian. And unfortunately, Paul, and this has been throughout time, you can read about stories like this in the Bible and a lot of other older texts and stuff like that. There's a lot of people that, it's whatever's going to get me by, whatever's going to get me money, whatever's going to allow me to survive. And that's what I'm going to do. And they won't stand up for principles. The heroes of our time and through all time are people that, for whatever your belief system is, that stood up for their principles. Could it be Joan of Arc? It could be Jesus. It could be, there's a lot of different, Moses. It could be, Muhammad, whatever. Are these people that stood up for their beliefs in the face of persecution, in the face of losing their status, their money, their, whatever that it is. And I'm not saying we should all be martyrs or anything like that. But what I'm saying is I'm trying to paint a picture as to, remember, this cultural Marxism, this super leftist movement that, has been swept up in the last, whatever, has gained more prominence for the last 10, 15 years, came up through the academia. There's a plan behind it. And this has been done to other countries. We've seen color revolutions in other countries, Paul. You've talked about this, done a lot of reporting, done a lot of digging in this. Am I making sense? Or is this, I want to continue with the stories here, but I'm just trying to help the audience set the philosophical groundwork as to what we're experiencing, why we're seeing it, and how this is not a one-off. This has been going on for a long time. Am I right, or have I lost it?
Look, I mean, I agree in the sense that if your ideas are good and they work, you usually don't have to coerce people to go along with them. You don't have to cancel people. You don't have to belittle people. You don't have to do things along those lines if people agree with you and your ideas are popular. And unfortunately, that's not what we've seen in recent times. We have seen a lot of this type of thing because, again, we have seen badgering and shaming and that kind of thing that Biden went to. But of course, he's not the only one doing it. Kamala's been doing it for the last week or whatever. And so, yeah, I agree. You do this when the ideas that you're representing or supporting aren't popular.
Right. So I want to set the philosophical groundwork. Probably didn't do a great job from a show perspective, but I think this is very important because if we don't understand it, you just get caught into oh, look at this. Oh no, that didn't really happen. And then the media and the Democrats end up saying, don't believe your lying eyes. Well, there's more to it than that. This has been going on for quite some time. And I don't want to do what some other hosts do of, every show is like, 90% of it's a regurgitation and reiteration of what we've already said. But this is a very important point. As Paul said, the entire last week was, look how bad those Trump supporters were from Madison Square Garden. Look how bad they're. He said this one thing. So it's like, dude, Tony Hinchcliffe is a roast comedian. I mean, and someone said that he went on hours before Trump was there. Trump wasn't even in the building. And Trump's trying to get ready, and Trump's supposed to do. You had the sitting president of the United States say that on air, but it's not the first time. But okay, let's say that's all. So let's go back to this the programming here. But I want to make that point, as Paul said, and I'll move on. Why do you think that we're having these reports about people potentially trying to, some overseas trying to shut down Musk's Twitter? Because you can't have free speech. If you can win the argument, you're not worried about free speech. Censors only want, as someone said, censors only want to censor true information. But then they'll say, oh, it's misinformation and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's so crazy. And I can't remember who said this. It's not hypocrisy. It's hierarchy. It's Animal Farm. Oh, we're all equal, but some are more equal than others. Okay. And so let's see what Vinod Khosla. Now, Vinod Khosla, if you don't know, famous in Silicon Valley, okay, big time VC entrepreneur, stuff like that. I mean, he's done a lot of different things. I can't remember his exact, I can't remember what. I don't have it off the top of my head. Hold on, let me just get his bio here. He's done a lot. I mean, a lot of people know, Khosla and stuff like that for sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, dude. Co-founder of Sun Microsystems and founder of Khosla Ventures. I mean, so you're talking Silicon Valley elite, Silicon Valley OG all the way. Okay, in my opinion. Okay. What did he have to say? Garbage is an understatement for MAGA extremists. Well, who are MAGA extremists, Vinod? Biden suggests Trump supporters are garbage after commenting, blah, blah, blah. J.D. Vance responds, one of Kamala Harris's biggest donors is doubling down on calling half the country garbage. Wow. Yeah. Will Kamala and her campaign returns contributions, money? Will they continue? So here you go. I mean, Paul, it doesn't seem like it's a one-off. It seems to keep happening. This is a big name from Silicon Valley. Do you think, what's your take on it? Do you think, well, let me throw one other thing out here. Now, I'm not going to play the video for obvious reasons. You can go to it yourself, okay? But this is townhall.com. Whoopi Goldberg on The View. And they talked about they're trying to explain it. You have a Farrow over here trying to explain it away, and oh well, it's this and it's that and whatever. And at some point they were talking about the right is trying to say it's like the deplorable saying like that. That Hillary Clinton said, and I guess at some point Whoopi was basically saying that hey, Hillary is right about the deplorable comment. You can go through it yourself. It's on Town Hall. It's a short clip. I'm not going to play it, but I mean. Do you think this is a mistake? Where do you think, Paul? You think this is a mistake, or you think this is how the left really thinks? Do you agree with Mark Halperin that this is what elected Democrats believe? Do you agree with Halperin?
Yeah, I do. I think it is what they believe, and it's unfortunate, but I think that if you did a secret poll of a certain number of high elected Democrat officials, they would say that. I mean, it's really unfortunate, but just the kind of common person, common folk, or the rural people, or the people, we've heard before, the rural people, what is it? The rural rage,
Flyover
whatever it
country.
is.
Oh
They're messing,
yeah. Yeah.
they're messing everything up for our great social experiment plan. There are people that believe this, and I do think it's a real thing. I do think there's a real tension there, and unfortunately, look, as you know, you and I, we've lived in rural situations, we
Yeah.
lived in urban situations, we lived
Absolutely.
all over the country.
Yes.
And the truth is, I can tell you for myself, is here living in central Pennsylvania, which is very much rural. Some of the best people you ever meet in this country live in places like this.
100%.
They're very tough. They're very hardworking. They're extremely giving. Like in fact, JD Vance, one of the stories that he tells in his stump speeches is someone he met. I can't remember where it was. And it's basically this person's going through all these hardships and like they're struggling in their own life. And he talks about how the woman knew the names of his children and was like, I want to say a prayer for you and everything. He's like, look, that just shows you how good our country is.
I remember that.
That
Yeah.
like
Oh my
we have
gosh.
people like this.
Absolutely.
And these are the people that get kind of put down as bitter clingers or this type of thing. It's like these people are like the salt of the earth. They're the people that make everything work. They're the truck drivers. They're the mail carriers,
School teachers, the
plumbers.
janitors, the plumbers. Absolutely. Coal miners.
Yeah, they're great. And so it's like, just trying to, like put down these people because they don't agree with your ideas. It's what Vance says all the time, which is, why don't you persuade people
Right.
instead of just trying to put them down?
Bully people. Now check this out. Scott Jennings, he's been doing great work on CNN. Was at it again last night, and they were trying to, they're trying to walk it back here from clandestine over here. Don't know, on X. Put this clip up. Let's go. Here we go.
Is he doing? Now, I don't accept your framing of it personally because I actually do believe he, Harris, the Democratic Party, and most of their campaign do believe that half the country is garbage. They've also said,
oh, he does believe that. And you can see him. They're getting worried. Watch this panel erupt as he lays it out, players.
People who go to Trump rallies are Nazis. And so it's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
Right. The truth was told. And it's only, let me phrase this as a question. Is it only because we're less than a week away from election? Then no, we love everybody. We don't, wait, like as you said, Paul, the entire story this weekend was how people who supported Trump and were at the rally and the MSG thing was so extreme and you're a bad person. And it's like Germany. I mean, it's craziness, Paul. It's absolutely crazy. But you know what? I'm going to bring you in here in 1 second. Let me play this from the GOP who had a great response. And this is basically what the GOP says. This is from the GOP. And here are the people that, well, I'll let the people itself. The GOP said these are the people that Kamala Harris's governing partner believes are garbage. Here we go.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
I wanted to support Trump. And you would say most of your community is choosing Donald Trump because of that?
Yes.
I want Trump to get in.
I think Trump's the guy.
I just gravitate towards Trump a little more.
Why do I support Trump? Because he's going to be the greatest president to be.
As a Polish American citizen, I am voting for Trump.
I'm leaning towards Trump.
I'm voting for Trump.
We vote for Jeffrey.
I'm voting for Donald.
Guys, this fires me up. I love it. I love it. You're seeing broad-based support, a populist movement. What do you think a populist movement is, players? A populist movement is popular for the people. It's ground up. Let's hear from this.
Donald Trump.
Leaning towards Trump.
Trump.
I'm voting for Donald Trump. I will probably be
Go.
doing
You're supporting
Trump. Would you say your mind is made up?
Yes.
And that is
Trump.
I'm voting Trump.
It reminds me, Paul, when Wagner went over there and was interviewing people in, I think, Michigan and stuff, some African American, and they were all for Trump, and why they didn't believe Harris, and she was just like, had her mouth. I mean, it was like couldn't believe it. It was, and here we go. The people are telling you, the people are not scared anymore. They're talking Trump. Let's go.
I'm voting for Donald Trump in 2024.
Vietnam Navy veteran James Hopper, a regular who's voting for Trump.
Good.
I vote for Donald Trump
Fisher. I am typically Democrat.
Why are you here today?
Oh, to support President Trump and make America great again. It's real simple. We love this country. We love the people here. Look around. These are our people, baby.
That's it, Paul. That's it. Is that who President Biden is calling garbage? Is that who Hillary Clinton was talking about deplorables? Is that what President Obama was talking about, bitter clingers? I mean, we're talking about PA. This election is going to be won or lost in communities like North Carolina that were hard hit by the hurricane, in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, State College, all kinds of places like that. Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. It's, Wisconsin. I mean, these are the places. It could Arizona, New Mexico, that the election. Virginia now is in play. New Hampshire's in play. What's your take on this, Paul? These are the people that are going to decide this election. How motivating do you think? Do you think people are talking about this? Do you think this message is breaking through? How motivating do you think that this situation is and this latest story is, Paul?
I think it's very motivating. And look, the people that you were talking about for the MSNBC thing, that was in Philadelphia.
Wow.
And what you're seeing is you're not getting the type of turnout in early voting in Philadelphia that you would expect for, which is very Democratic county. I think people are really offended by this. And I think that it really has woken people up. Like, look, even now, in the last week of the election, when these guys should be telling you why to vote for them, instead, they're focused on how bad the other person is supposedly and how bad you are if you support Donald Trump. Rather than saying, we're going to do this, we're going to improve that for you. It's not about that. It's all of this negativity and nastiness. And I do think it's having an impact. I've seen it all over X today. We got some other clips we're going to play of other people reacting to this in Pennsylvania. And I think that this I think it's definitely making people kind of sit up and take notice, like, whoa, really? Yeah. So I think it's a big thing.
Want to take a quick moment here. We are going to go to the Pennsylvania things. I've got Byron Donalds, Congressman Byron Donalds from the Fort Myers area. He's fantastic. He had a response on CNN, but I do agree with you. Let's go to what the voters are saying in Pennsylvania. But I did want to take a quick moment here and thank, Pat from Florida, Kathy. We've got Diana that are reposting, retweeting. We've got 121 interactions. Do appreciate that in the middle of the day. Also, Christopher, appreciate you out there. Julie, appreciate you. Kimbo Depp, appreciate you as well. Jack, people do, so we're getting a lot of different engagement here. We do appreciate you out there. We do appreciate the audience, and we also appreciate the audience on YouTube, Facebook, X, and more. Okay, so now, and of course, Rumble, no doubt about it. Now let me try to. I've got so many clips here. It's really unbelievable. I want to go step by step here. And I'm just give me a second while I get this lined up. Just cleaning a lot of this stuff up here. Okay. And we need to find out. Whoa, yeah. Well, okay. So do I want to show that? There's a post by Senate Republicans. There's a post. Yeah. Okay. All right. Just because you know what? This is leadership. And let's just put out what they're putting out there. And I'll let the audience decide. Okay. So this is from the Senate Republicans. They put this out there and they're saying, Paul, that this is not a one-off. Okay. They're saying that this is not a one-off. This is from Senate Republicans here. And we can go look at this right here. Senate Republicans, National Republican Senate Committee. Okay. This is official here. All right. Shameless Senate Democrats have spent years attacking Trump supporters, even calling them, quote, the worst people in the world. So, will they condemn Joe Biden? He calls half the country garbage. And they're showing different things here. This is from John Tester, Sherrod Brown, Bob Casey, Slotkin. And then a lot of these are contested, seats. Of course, this is political stuff. So saying, Tester said that Trump support was based on racism. And Sherrod Brown said that Trump voters support, racism because it works for them. Tammy Baldwin, Trump voters failed her moral test. And then here we go. And then Ruben McGago said that Trump ran a xenophobic campaign that drew out the worst people in the world. This is alleging, I'm not alleging this, but this is posted up on X by the Senate Republicans. and you would think that they would have done their diligence on that and whatnot. I have no reason to that's what they put out. Okay. And there you go. So, I mean, look, Paul, this does not seem like it is, as I get these clips ready, this does not seem like it's a one-off here. Okay. I think we've seen this time and time again.
Yeah. What's happening here is, look, this is simple, which is how some of these other candidates made statements that are similar. And beyond that, what do you think about what President Biden said?
Right.
What is your take on what he said? Do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that? And I know that some Democrat candidates have already started to distance themselves from it. We know that I can't remember. Somebody in Michigan has already done that. And so that's a fair statement. I mean, this is the president, this is the leader of your party saying this. How do you feel about it? Do you agree with him? Do you not agree with him?
Well,
have you said similar things yourself?
That's a great point, Paul. That's such a good point. And we need to get all these people, all these candidates on the record, because how many times, if someone may have gone to Mar-a-Lago or they may have gone to a Trump rally and this person and like someone had a meme like, hey, this bad person eats cereal and Trump eats cereal, so is Trump going to disavow him? This was the president of the United States, the current leader of the Democratic Party, that said this. What do you think about it? I mean, he said the garbage comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you disavow? What's going on? I mean, let's not. We want a real. People need to know where everyone stands on this. Okay, and we have all kinds of clips here that we're gonna play. I think that's a great point, Paul. That's a great point. But here's the other thing. I mean, the GOP put that out. We had the Trump War Room, the official rapid response, just put something out of before. Hold on. Right here. Trump War Room. This is who, and that is the official War Room account 24 campaign. Okay. This is who Kamala and Joe Biden called garbage. Trump calls them patriots. Trump with Latino voters here. Trump with workers here with hard hats and stuff like that. Trump with this was when the imams were endorsing Trump in Michigan. Trump with Jewish voters here and his daughter Laura Trump and stuff like that. And I mean, this is it. This is all of America, dude. There's different parts of America. Trump is president for all Americans. It's not this divisive stuff. I mean, when have you seen Trump say? I mean, and no one's perfect. Like Trump makes mistakes. I make mistakes. I probably make mistakes today. Whatever. But I mean, have you seen this repeated slandering, if you will, besmirching, casting aspersions of Trump on the other side for Kamala Harris's voters? I don't think I've seen that, Paul. And I don't think you go ahead.
No. What you don't see, the smearing or the questioning that you will see President Trump talk about. First, he'll take on his opponent. He'll say things about Kamala Harris herself because that is his opponent. Doesn't talk so much about her supporters. What he will bring up are things like MS-13 or Trende Agua or whatever that group is. That's who he'll talk about. Those are the people that he'll question. He's not necessarily or usually questioning whole groups of the American people. That's the difference. He'll talk about you, who he is going against, as the political opponent, and he will talk about people that are here undocumented and people committing crimes. He'll talk about those individuals, not just a whole group of people supporting the political opponent.
Let's hear right here. Fox did a great job. Went out there to Gap, Pennsylvania, talking to voters in the diner. Let's hear it right now.
She's in office now, so she's in office now.
She
has the opportunity to enact these policies and affect change now, and she's not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if she really cared about us, which I don't think this administration does, she would do it now. I mean, we had Obama say we clung to our guns and religion. Hillary called us deplorables.
See, they remember it. They know it. This is a regular vote. They know it. They remember this. Obama called us this. Hillary Clinton called us this. Now Biden's
Yeah.
calling us this. She's in office now. Are you going to help us? This is competency stuff. This is attitude stuff. This is, and then they want to call for unity stuff. So, I mean, this is a voter right here. And she's not the only one. Let's play some more.
And now Biden calls us trash. So that's what the left really thinks of us. And I think it's disgusting.
What do you think about that trash comment? You seem just like an average day woman. Want to pay your bills, provide for your family. When he decided
players, wow. I mean, that is like, I mean, dude, that right there, those are the voters that Kamala Harris needs. That is so impactful right there. I mean, they get it. They get it. It's not just one, there's more.
The call on that call yesterday on the web call you trash. What went through your mind?
Lawrence Jones doing what?
I mean, we're just normal Americans that are trying to make a difference in the people around us in business. I'm a businesswoman, and to be called trash is just it's degrading.
Wow.
I mean, that's really what they think of us is we're like deplorables and trash.
Wow.
Yep. I'm telling you, that's in Pennsylvania. And let me tell you where that is. That's about 45 miles west of Philadelphia. It's not that far from Philadelphia. I mean, you can hear the reaction to there. That's real. And like I said, they remember bitter clingers. They remember being smeared in different ways. They're upset. And that's a real reaction. That's how people are feeling. I'm seeing a lot of that.
And maybe I'm making too much of this, whatever, but the trash comment, what does that sound like? What does that evoke? Trailer trash, potentially. Okay. Again, this lesser of, so you don't have money, you don't have education, you don't have a nice house, you're not progressive, maybe you're backwards and you're not with it, you're not with the cool. I mean, these slurs and aspersions and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But gosh help anybody that says anything about the 10, 20, 30 million plus people that didn't come here through the regular, immigration means and stuff like that they're flying in, busing in potentially to some of these communities. Some of these communities have increased by 10, 20, 30, 40% in size within a very short period of time. And it's hard to adjust to that, just logistically. Now, again, I've said it before, and I've said it a long time ago, as I would advise campaigns and stuff like that, officially, unofficially, whatever, that we are a land of immigrants, that the Republican Party needs to be pro-immigration, but they have to do it in a you have to have your language right, and you have to do it in a smart way. And I think what Elon Musk is saying, and everyone can speak for themselves, and I'm not saying I'm not so, but I mean, obviously the man's brilliant, stuff like that. We want the best of the best. You have to have a system that's fair for everyone. And whatever the number is that we're going to let in, 500,000, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 5, whatever it is per year, that, if I'm standing in line, as we did for my wife and stuff like that, for 3, 4, 5 years, 7 years, pay $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, in money, that's the way what everyone else has to do. Now, granted, if you've got a war going on in the country and you have, you need, people, sorry about that. The focus went off for a second. People need asylum or we're going to get Olympic gold medalists over here or, some great professor or whatever. I mean, obviously there's these different pathways, but they have to be, whatever the law is should be followed for everyone. You shouldn't just be able to walk over, and not only am I able to walk over, but I'm able to walk over or fly over, Paul, and then get a stipend and then get money and then get, put up in the Roosevelt Hotel or get a free apartment and stuff like that. And people are displaced. There are people that are homeless over here. There's homeless veterans over here. There's people that, that have lost everything. Maybe they lost everything in Hurricane Helene, Paul, in North Carolina or Georgia or Florida and stuff like that. People are suffering. People feel like it's not in equal playing field. I think it plays into but both these issues play together, the competence and the caring, because people feel like my government has abandoned me or doesn't care about me. Is that too far, Paul, or do you think people feel that way?
That is how people feel. I mean, I've heard people say essentially just that in Western North Carolina, in the parts of Georgia that were affected by Hurricane Helene.
Wow.
So they do feel like that. People said that. And I think that that's a lot of what we've gone over or have experienced in recent years is kind of an alienation from our own governing class. Is kind of like, what are we doing here? How did we get to this place? I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. And I think, there's been I think there have been a sense of kind of a devaluing of the experience of just the average person who's just trying to go about their life, who doesn't want to be put down by the people that are running the country or running the Democrat Party or whatever.
Interesting take. I mean, it reminds me back of all the Anthony Codevilla, the ruling class and stuff like that, that you basically, and what I've been saying for a while, and people are picking it up, including, Tucker Carlson and others, when you have issues that are poll 60-40, 70-30, 65-35, 80-20, 90-10, whatever, and the elected officials don't act on that. Now, we don't have a direct democracy where, hey, popular vote, we're going to, take over, Tom Brady's mansion or something like that, or where everyone's going to get paid $10,000 not to work or something like that. Okay, well, we don't want that, right? I mean, that's why we have constitutional, Bill of Rights, property rights, all that type of stuff. So we have a representative republic. So we elect people to go there and basically, enact policies. It's a little bit of a diffuse situation, a little bit, kind of like, and they would say that the Senate was like the saucer to cool the tea or something. I can't remember the exact now, but that's basically the analogy. Basically, like, okay, the people's house is one thing, and then the Senate kind of cools it down. They would make these systems of checks and balances to make things take time, to have a little bit of a log jam, to chill it out, to make sure that policies that are enacted are kind of thought through. Right. And the system was really, really well designed by the founders. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Doesn't mean it hasn't evolved. And we have amendments. And we have a way to evolve it. And we've done that over the years. But there's something to it. Now, when you see the left, what do they want to do? Pack the court, end the filibuster. They want to be able to force their way and to make it more of almost a parliamentarian system. If you win, you get to do whatever you want. And so, but even in a my point is, even in a constitutional republic with representative, democracy, if you will, at some point, any political system, and I'm a political expert, political science major from Berkeley and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. If you haven't seen the resume, go check it out. You still have to represent the will of the people. If over a long period of time, you are not responding to 60-40, 70-30, 65-35, 90-10, 80-20 issues over 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, 20 years, then there becomes a question of legitimacy. Then there becomes a question of, are our political elites captured? Then it becomes a question of, as Henry Ford says, ma'am, you can have any car you want, any color you want, as long as you want a color black. Because that's what he made the Model Ts in. That was your choice. So when you have choice of pizza A or pizza B, pizza A Republican, pizza B Democrat, you're still eating pizza. And as a pizza maker, I don't care if you choose pepperoni or if you choose cheese or you choose supreme or you choose veggie, you're buying my pizza. So if I control the pizza makers, then I control the situation. That's what some have said. You've got a bureaucratic, an insider, a ruling class, a donor captured type of system potentially. And what was one of the things that allegedly pushed Biden out, Paul? It was that the donors, some of them Hollywood, said, we're not giving you any money, we're shutting it off. So these are the people that complain about democracy. Who's running democracy? Does that make sense, Paul?
It does. I mean, it does. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, again, like I said, I think there's been kind of people just feeling dislocated from all of this or not in touch with this. I mean, look, even going back to and Vance brings this stuff up all the time on the trail. Go back to what Bill Clinton talked about in the 90s or whatever. It's completely different than what Democrats talk about today. I mean, his position on immigration, his position on the border sounds like something that President Trump would say.
Yeah.
I mean, so the party has changed, and that's the reason why we're getting the realignment that we're getting. That is the reason why you are seeing such a different and diverse group of people backing President Trump. The Democrat Party, which is now the power of the party in power in the White House. What are they? Who do they represent now? They represent the coastal elites. They represent big tech. It's just a different thing, and a lot of people I don't feel like can relate to it. And again, unfortunately, some of these people look down at some of their fellow Americans. You and I both know we've both been to good colleges, and you see some of the elites, their sons and daughters there. And there are people that I think have some of that attitude towards just regular folks, so to speak. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I think that what you're seeing now is kind of a gathering of momentum and strength of kind of normal people of a big mix of that group that just kind of like wants to like do something different,
Here we go. More from the diner in PA.
Take the colder personality out of it and deal with policy. And to me, it's a pretty stark
And the veteran, thank you for your service, sir. I love it. U.S. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Here we go.
contrast what we have here. Do you want to vote for a party that believes in limited government, individual freedom, strong national defense, free market capitalism, and embraces
Sign me up for that. I love that. Let's go. This guy's speaking it.
Judeo-Christian values? Or do you want to support a party that wants to transform America, who wants to basically...
I want to stop right there because that right there is a key point, Paul. And I'm going to bring you in on this one. And I know we're going long in this one because there's so many clips. A party that wants to transform America. When you look at critical theory, whether it's critical race theory, there's all the different critical theories. It's a Marxist type of ideology, if I remember correctly, and it's designed to basically to gain power and to tear down the existing infrastructure, the existing institutions, social norms, stuff like that. Get rid of religion, get rid of families, get rid of all this type of stuff. Government is everything. And in fact, we just had Obama, and I'm going to try to find it. I had the clip. I have so many different clips. He was on some podcast. He's like, I was in these rooms with people. This is my super paraphrase. Not allowed anything. Go check it out for yourself. I'll try to find it. And, these people, they're not that, people with big money, big titles, but then you talk to them and they're not that impressive. If the idea is that all of this stuff, everything that's made, all the success, the greatness of America was just basically ill-gotten gains, that whoever's in power, whoever's succeeded, whether it's Elon Musk or anybody else, or it could be Vinod Khosla, it could be anybody else, they didn't deserve it. They didn't earn it. That it's some kind of bias, it's some kind of ill-gotten gain or something like that. And when you have this idea that you're basically that you don't like, you want to transform the system, you cannot transform the system without being unhappy with the system and maybe unhappy with the people that are in that system and supporting that system. And that's how you get potentially comments like deplorables, bitter clingers, garbage, and things like that. Does that make sense, or am I going too far, Paul?
No, it does make sense. And look, I have to bring this up because, and linger on it too much, but this is where you come with people like Bill Ackman, who basically had an awakening after what happened on 10/7 in Israel.
Yes.
Because of that philosophy of, the people there's some people who said after that, this is a thing of resistance and this is all, there are people that said it was great. Whatever you think about the conflict in the Middle East, to say something like that after what happened on that day is so just, it just shocked people. And that's where, again, Bill Ackman has said himself, saying, then you have to reassess. These are people who apparently agree
Woke a
with
lot of
that,
people
who
up.
agree with this transformation type of mentality, who I thought that I was on the same wavelength with them. But
No.
now I'm realizing I'm not. And that's what you're saying, which is you have to think critically about what are these people saying? What do they really believe in? And what they're, again, as you said, they want to transform things, meaning, as you said, they don't like the way things are now. Why is that? Does that mean they don't like me if I'm successful? And so on and so forth. That's what I think is people are becoming more aware of how kind of radical this mentality and
Very
this
radical.
approach is. And it's woken up people like Bill Ackman and many, many others.
Well, and the thing of it is, and I want to be very careful, right? And I don't want to fall in any logical traps or anything like that. And again, I reserve the right to revise and extend stuff like that. And I'm sure I'll make mistakes, so I do apologize ahead of time. Who's the party of hope and who's the party of hate? And I'm not saying it's as broad as that, but I look at Democrats as, in our own family. We've got people in our own family that like rabidly don't like Donald Trump. Big time liberals and Democrats. They used to be Kennedy Democrats. They used to be Clinton Democrats. And now, it's a different party. As Reagan famously said, Elon Musk, others, I didn't leave the Democratic Democratic Party left me. But I look at these Democrats, in our own family. I love everybody. So do you. I mean, I don't hate anybody. It's like that's craziness. That's silliness. And the thing of it is, and someone said, there's a great quote. I can't remember what I said. It's not really this, but it's analogous in a larger sense. If planning for revenge, dig 2 graves, because when you have that kind of hate, when you have that kind of negativity, when you have that kind of focus and stuff, it's ruining you too. And you just can't operate like that. And whether you're religious or not, Jesus says, turn the other cheek and you have to forgive people and all that type of stuff. It's like, I look at people in my family, it's like, I feel bad for them. It's like, you've been brainwashed or you don't have, or propagandized. I mean, advertising works, media works. Companies wouldn't spend this massive amounts of money on advertising and political systems wouldn't, and governments wouldn't spend money on propaganda if it didn't work. It works. And, part of I'm not saying I have a patent or a gospel and all the truth and stuff like that, but I think part of our things, and again, I don't believe at this point, we're going to get back to stuff and wrap it up. But, part of your job, if you will, as a human being is trying to figure out what's true in life, meaning of life, what your faith is and what am I doing? And, who do I want to be and what kind of way, all that, whatever. How does the universe work? And we constantly learn new things about, how we're constantly, everything's evolving in terms of this. Look at all the stuff we've discovered recently. Oh, this doesn't do this. This does this. Oh, we thought this diet did that. Oh, it does this. Oh, here's how you do it. Oh, really? Ulcers are caused by this, whatever. So let's get back to this voter right here. But I just thought that was a really important point that we need to bring home. And hopefully that made sense.
Get rid of the institutions, destroy the institutions that made this country great, and centralize power in the federal government. And I think that's a pretty stark contrast. So that's why I'm voting Republican.
Look at that. I mean, here's the thing. These are people that are diners. Now, maybe they knew Fox was coming. Maybe, who knows? But I mean, like you said, Paul, this is in Gap, Pennsylvania. This isn't what people would, some of the elites would consider flyover country. And these are people that are very smart, very versed. They know what's going on.
Yeah, that guy clearly knows what he's talking about.
Right?
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
He really gets it.
He gets it, dude. He gets it.
And as you said about the media, and I'll just say this quickly.
No, go.
The media, the propaganda, the media is considered by, some people in this kind of like formulation, it's the lowest rung of the elites because they're not the true elites, but they are the guard for the elites. They are the ones that kind of tell the masses what to think about the elites. Or don't think about the elites, just focus on other things, focus on bread and circuses, focus on this, focus on that. So yes, they are they do play an important role. That's why something like X is so key in an environment like this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, Linda Yaccarino, all the team over there. Chris Pavlovski's doing great work over there at Rumble. So many. And look, LinkedIn, even Reid Hoffman, oh gosh, Mark Benioff, not happy that Camel's not sitting down for time. People are waking up all over the place. Let's look at another clip right here.
It feels very demeaning, I've been a Republican my whole life, and it's a privilege to be a Republican and a conservative, and I stand for conservative values, and I think I can process thoughts and have my own thought pattern, and to be called garbage for those thoughts is not necessarily an uplifting
Were
comment.
you surprised?
No, not at all.
Not surprised. Not at all. Because we've heard it before, players.
No, not coming from him or his party.
Right. They've heard it before. People are tired of it. I mean, this is the thing. You want to vote for hope. You want to vote for a vision. And that was part of the problem, Paul, too, getting it a little bit more expanded. People were really criticizing Kamala Harris's campaign because it was most of her campaign was, in a lot of ways, was Trump is bad. You can't vote for Trump. If you vote for Trump, you're a bad person, as opposed to what are you, Kamala Harris, going to do for people? Why should I vote for you? What's your positive vision out there? And it wasn't there. Okay. And that's a big problem. And so I think that's a huge difference with what's going on right there. And I think people are reacting to that in a different way. There's all kinds of, there's a thing from Molly Hemingway. I don't know if I should play it. There is another clip here that I'm going to play from a Pennsylvania voter, and to kind of round this out here. Let's see if this is the right one. Let's go here. Let's do this. 1 second.
Democrats and Harris's desperation. I think they're desperate. They see the numbers, they see the people, all the enthusiasm behind, Donald Trump.
All
and
enthusiasm.
Republicans. So, it's like Hillary Clinton calling us deplorables.
It's like Clinton calling us deplorables. They remember. People remember. They remember these things. I'm going to show this. I'm not saying I condone it. I'm not saying I endorse it or whatever. Molly Hemingway's fantastic. She does great work and stuff like that. But kind of going back to my story about my sister and stuff like that, I'm going to show this read it, but without commentary, and I'll let it speak for itself. Let me see if I've got this. Hold on. I got to put it over here. And, just because, or else I'll forget about it. And we got other things to do too. And we got to wind this thing down. Okay. Here, Molly Hemingway. For Molly Hemingway, this is Molly Z. Hemingway. This is the real count. At 1.2 million followers, editor-in-chief of The Federalist, senior journalism fellow at Hillsdale, Fox News contributor, a very smart woman respected by everyone. I love Molly Hemingway. She's amazing. Again, now listen, she can speak for herself. I'm not saying I'm going to endorse this or endorse everything she says. Text from single friend about a guy she just met is interested in. Honestly, my biggest fear right now is I'm gonna find out and I'll let you read the rest of that and see what that says. And I mean, dude, what I'm saying is that when you contrast JD Vance with Tim Walz as two different concepts of the modern man, I think that's a big contrast, Paul.
It is. I mean, look, I think, again, what it goes to is what the guy said in Pennsylvania, the one man, which is you're overturning all these concepts and just a way of looking at the world that everybody's used to. Why do you want to do that? I mean, it just, what is the problem with a traditional concept of masculinity? What's the issue with that? I mean, that's I think the question that I think comes up for me.
Buck Sexton, I don't know if I can find this fast enough. Buck Sexton, when he was on Bill Maher, right, was on with the CNN lady, And he's like, and Bill Maher, somehow was like, oh, well, masculinity means this. And he said some different things about taking risks and being time. This is my super paraphrase. So I apologize, Buck, from getting wrong. And then like, well, why can't that stand for women? And then Buck pushed back like, how come I can't say anything positive about masculinity without being pushed back on stuff like that? That's not being inclusive enough, whatever, that the only masculinity is a version that you will say is exclusively masculine. It's a toxic type of masculinity. And I really butchered that in terms of, but I mean, you go look at that clip for yourself. And it was now, and here's the thing. Oh, here's the clip we need to play. Here's the clip we need. Let's get back to the main story here. Okay. So was this a one-off? Was this a mistake? Was this something that Democrats don't believe? Well, let's find out. How about we listen to the candidate herself? This is from a while back. How about we listen to Kamala Harris herself to see what she had to say about this? This is last year, players. This is last year. Trump War Room puts this out. And here we go. Let's see what Kamala has to say about this.
In fact, I'm going to share with you a very simple story, which is that I went home one day and I said, well, why are conservatives bad, Mommy? Because I thought we were supposed to conserve things.
Why? Wait. Why are conservatives bad, Mommy? So someone's telling her that conservatives are bad. Is it her mom? Because she's talking to her mom, who I believe was a professor. And I think her dad was a professor of Marxist economics or something like that. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. I'm not alleging anything, right? And so think of that framing by itself. Is she getting propagandized at school? It sounds like she's talking like she's a young girl. So is she getting propaganda in the school? So let's hear that part one more time. I'll finish the quote.
Why are conservatives bad, Mommy? Because I thought we were supposed to conserve things.
So funny.
I couldn't reconcile it. Now I can.
Oh, it didn't make sense before why conservatives are bad. Now it makes sense why they're bad, Paul. That's Kamala Harris last year, Paul.
Yeah, look, just when you hear that, it just doesn't, to me, just personally, it just seems like somebody who isn't serious.
Not right.
In terms of their approach to everything.
Right.
And that's the thing that stands out to me about that more than anything else about it.
You know what? That's actually a perfect segue. We have another clip here from Pennsylvania voter here, and he was talking about this is competency issues. And this is the thing: all the politics, all the personalities aside, all the quotes aside, all the outrage aside, fake outrage, whatever it is, and different, not this thing, but just different things that that come up and from time to time, potentially. Here is a voter talking about how things were in the Trump years versus how they are now. Real economy, real results, real business stuff. And there's a lot of people like I don't like Trump, but I'm voting for him because things were better. Let's go to this clip.
All I know is back the last 3-4 months of his presidency, my business was the best it has ever been in 50 years. Is
the best it's ever been in 50 years.
Downright, absolutely the best part. After that, it was all downhill.
What are you experiencing in your business?
Wow. I'm experienced that if I do good, my men do good. If I don't do good, they don't either. So we need to be, united together. And
that's it. People just want to get to work. People just want to have good lives. People just want to have successful businesses. They don't want all this back and forth. They don't want a morality play. There was someone else that put something up there. One of these big Silicon Valley guys that basically they can't wait to go back to the time where politics didn't matter. Well, if you want that, then, which side do you think you should vote for? You know what I'm saying? Potentially. And Katie Pavlich, pushing back on Fox News about them trying to say this was an accident here. Let's see what Pavlich has to say.
Why would you not immediately come out and say, we condemn these comments, we don't appreciate them, we're trying to work for all Americans, but the credibility problem that they have is the Harris campaign in a matter of 2 days has tried to shift from calling Madison Square Garden a Hitler rally, the people there Nazis who were attending, and that the former president of the United States is a fascist and will end the Constitution.
Well, this goes to what Paul was saying before. The message of the week was this rally in New York was so bad. It was so bad. And it was, and you can't do that. And whoa, okay. Well, Mark has, I can't put that up there, Mark. Can't put that up there. But thanks for watching generally and stuff like that. But we can't put that up there. I mean, and this is the thing. Here's the thing: two wrongs don't make a right. You don't want to devolve into what they're, anyway. I'm just so, and that goes to what. So not only does this cut across their sort of closing message, which is Trump so bad you can't vote for him, in my opinion, was where they were going with that, Paul. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but it also just makes it just a cluster of weird messages and just kind of it's confusing. There's so many there's almost like a different message every day. It doesn't make sense. There's no cohesiveness to this campaign. I don't even know, what the message is. I mean, what are can someone name me? I mean, obviously she's put stuff out now, but can someone name me 10 policies from Kamala Harris, what she will do if she's in there? I mean, it's like immigration. Oh, we need 1,500 more agents and we need a border wall and stuff like that. But by the way, we need a pathway to citizenship. We need to reform things like, do you want more immigration or do you not? Are the people that crossed illegal, they stay in or they not? She won't answer that question. It makes no sense. And it almost becomes this code speak for, hey, I just got to get elected and now just keep being liberal or something like that, which has been happening. And it's happened on the Republican side too. You know what I mean? And that goes back to the whole thing of the elites, the ruling elite. When do the voters get the policies that they want and are voting for? Let's see the rest of Katie Pavlich.
To her standing in Washington, D.C. yesterday saying she's going to be the unity candidate and bring everybody together. So it really plays into this idea that she's not different from Joe Biden, and she didn't distance herself in an immediate way. And as you mentioned, Dana, she's in front of the plane. It's not clear what she's saying. You can't hear anything.
It's a mess. The whole thing's a mess. Paul, the whole thing's a mess. And we have something here, and I'm not trying to be unkind and stuff. Another voter right here. Before I forget about that. Another voter right here on why he's voting for Trump. Did not vote for Trump before, from Georgia, swing state. And he's just saying about how, look, things are bad, things are tough. And he's trying to do something different here. Let's see right here. Okay, here we go.
But just yesterday, we met a man here in Athens that did not vote for Trump in either 2016 or 2020, but he says this time around he's voting for Trump because of the economy.
The cost of groceries, just the cost of just living is just ridiculous now, man. And I really haven't heard any of them say what they will do about that. But when Trump was the president, it wasn't that high. You know what I mean? Like, you could survive.
People know, Paul. People know what it was like. This is, again, the Kamala Harris campaign is don't believe your lying eyes, essentially. People know what it was like. People know that things were better. People know that their lives are better. They could afford things. And you're just not going to be able to fool people. You're not going to be able to fool people into thinking that the Kamala Harris campaign that was all about women, abortion, Trump's bad, toxic masculinity, all this type of stuff. And she just had some ad. I got to find this thing. I'll play this. She just had an ad where it was, I probably shouldn't play it, but you can go look at it, where it's basically like two men, and I don't know if it was hers or a PAC or an affiliate group. I have no idea, but it was basically like they go, hey honey, remember, you know who to vote for? And you had and the two women go there and I don't know. It felt like, they were being pressured to vote for Trump. That was the implication, by their husbands. And they're right across from each other, and they look up and they look at each other and they just kind of knowing and wink, and they vote for Harris. And they go and then the husband's like, did you vote for the right person? Oh, I sure did. Huh? And it's like, again, how many times have we seen this from Hollywood? Married with Children. The wife is a smart one and the husband's the dummy guy and stuff like that. And it's the same stereotype, where the husbands are bullying the wives and stuff like that. If you can't run that kind of campaign. If that's your campaign, that's your campaign. And then at the last second, oh, hey, we're playing video games, guys. We need help. Gretchen Whitmer, the hot mic. We need help with men. I wonder why. You know what I'm saying? Like how many ways can you tell conservatives and men and different voting groups and stuff like that? Paul, you mentioned, October 7th, or it could be oil workers, or it could be, it could be different, that you don't, that people under, I'm not going to characterize anything. Voters are smart, and we've heard it on clip after clip after clip after clip after clip. People understand why you're trying. Now contrast that to President Trump. I'm trying to find this one. And again, we're not saying it's perfect. He's perfect, but he does different things. But he is making concerted outreach. And then there's another one, a new Trump ad that's just dropped. Kamala broke it. Trump will fix it. We'll play that in a second. But I want to say, Brett Cooper, I'm going to put this up right here. And as I said, a lot, we're going to wind this down. So I knew the show was because so much out there. And Paul, as you said, rightly said, this is Austin 316. When this hit, this was an internet banger, and people have just made it their own thing. Brett Cooper, I think she's on the Daily Daily Wire out there with that team, I believe. And she's got me and my husband voting for Trump. This could be us, 2 garbage cans tied together. People are running with this type of stuff. The memes are running wild out there. People understand it, but Trump is outreaching to people, and even on tough issues like the Middle East. I'm gonna put some of those quotes out there that he's been put out. But meanwhile, and again, I'm not trying to be unkind, but people, Kamala Harris was trying to say that, Trump's exhausted. The age issue is, I'm a new generation of leadership and stuff like that. Well, Trump does rally after rally after rally, flies all around, wheels up everywhere. People are like, I can't keep up with Trump. You're seeing Trump. You saw Trump for 3 hours on Rogan. Kamala Harris only won 1 hour. Well, here's Kamala Harris on Marine Force 1 or 2. Big yawn. Everybody's saying stuff. Look at her facial expression. Now listen, I'm not trying to Trump war room. Kamala is exhausted, cracking in the rigors of her presidential campaign after she was installed as nominee and didn't earn a single vote. Yikes. Now listen, I'm not trying to be a punk. That schedule's got to be grueling for anyone. Everyone's got to sleep. We're all human beings and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to, but you don't see a clip like that, Paul. If you saw something like that of Trump, the media would probably be all over it. That's a big contrast. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, the only picture I've ever seen anything remotely like that with Trump was he was in office one time and he cut back. He was coming back from the helicopter at 1 or 2 in the morning. I think he had his tie off walking to the White House, and he kind of looked like, he was a little tired. That's it. You never see anything like that with Trump, like what that video is. And look, just coming back to something you said earlier, the truth is that you're right. I'm here in Pennsylvania. I see Kamala's ads all the time and the ads from her PAC. The message is all over the place.
Right.
The message is everywhere. They finally thought that they had a closing argument with this whole focus on the Madison Square Garden Trump rally, focus on the comedian there, and then Joe Biden ruined it. So now you got to build the whole thing back up again. So that's what we're dealing with. I think it's just a campaign that's been had a lot of struggles, and we're coming close to the end here.
Coming close to the end here, and I want to share Elon Musk. Woke mind virus is very real and measurable. And now why I'm showing this, mentions of presidents in academic papers from 1900 to August 2024. And what you're seeing is, again, this tick up, right? Racism, in the 60s, 70s, kind of went down a little bit. And then this real big tick up right around that early mid 2000s. 2008, 2010, stuff like that. Same thing here. Sexism, boom, explosion in the 60s, down, back up. 2008, 2010. Different things here, right? Boom, boom, boom. Now this was up. Now this is down. This is down. Oh, we're not as much on the. Okay, so what that shows, Paul, I think, is a good illustration that maybe we were talking about a larger picture here, a larger, not to be, conspiratorial or anything like that, but a lot of this stuff is, the messaging is either, and who knows if it's a dog wagging the tail wagging the dog. Is it coming from academia, or is academia following, the politicians or whatever? And of course there's a revolving door between a lot of liberals and academia and stuff like that. You can see that. Same thing with media, right? And again, that goes to Code Villa, ruling elite and stuff like that. And so the point being is that you saw this explosion of this in the 60s, and then in revitalization, in that 2008, 2010, 2012 scene. And it goes back to this whole 60s stuff, which we saw, the hippie movement, the Marxist movement, and all this type of stuff. So there's echoes here. There's broader themes here. And those are charts that show, or potentially indicate some of that. So you have to, that's why I'm saying, I mean, it just took a little longer than necessarily wanted, but you really have to see what that's about. Now, when we talk about closing message, that's very interesting right here. We'll go to that. And there's been some memes out there on this of the difference between Trump, and we'll close on this. Trump versus about 5-10 minutes, about 10 minutes here. A couple of these things. We've got, this is from ALX on X. I don't know who this person is, just came up my feed. And here, let's see if we can.
Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the
Difference in closing
person
message.
who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election.
After all,
Now, time out. I want to say something. Remember, that was yesterday too. So while Kamala is doing that or getting ready or whatever on the same night is when Biden dropped the garbage comments, and look at how they've had to immediately turn and switch it. So that was the closing message. That was what was supposed to be, potentially, in my opinion. Now, contrast that to Trump.
After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of the USA. With your help from now until Election Day, we will restore America's promise. We will put America first, and we will take back the nation that we all love. We bleed the same blood. We share the same home, and we salute the same great American flag. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever back down. And we will never, ever, ever, ever surrender.
Trump, let's go. Oh, my goodness. Different message.
Together we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win.
Trump. Classic Trump. I mean, different message, Paul. Very, very different message. And let me find this. This is the Republicans put something out here, and I'll go to a couple of Trump. I'll end with, and you have Sachs calling out people, say, hey, how come they're not disavowing this and whatever. And here is, if you look at Trump's ads and the GOP ads, here's one of his the closing message ad. They broke it. We will fix it. And I think that's, again, he's really running on the competency issue and the A/B test.
Kamala backed Biden on everything. She was the deciding vote for his disastrous economic agenda. They raised taxes on the middle class and prices soared.
Economy.
Kamala was in charge of his open border policies,
immigration,
giving welfare to illegals while Americans struggle, and their weakness invited wars. Now Kamala wants to double down on failure. It's time to turn the page on Joe and Kamala's failed agenda. President Trump fights for you. His strength kept us safe. Trump cut taxes for families. Prices were lower and the border secure. Now
he's talking about the top 3 issues. He's talking about what he did. He's doing the contrast, the A/B test, positive message versus negative message. This is a change election. Kamala's trying to be Kamala's trying to be the change agent, even though she's currently in office. And she's trying to basically make it a referendum. Trump's so bad you can't vote for him. And Trump's like listen, you know, you want I can get it done, and I'm doing it right here. So very different ways they're trying to conduct these campaigns.
President Trump can do it again.
And we are going to launch a new golden age of American success for the citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed.
Remember, Kamala broke it. President Trump will fix it.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
I think that's a very strong ad, Paul. Your comments on that ad from Trump.
It is. It's great. It's a big contrast. It's unity and hope versus negativity and shame. And I think it's a very easy choice for people. And I think it bodes well for President Trump.
It does bode well for President Trump. I want to play this too before we get out of here. I'm going to show Trump a couple of things right here. He has it just something on the Middle East. He has a couple of things he puts on the Middle East, which is very, very tough issue, but he's addressing it head on. He's addressed it before he's elected. And I just think that shows the confidence. I think it shows his diplomacy. I think it shows his the convictions. I think it shows leadership. We'll go to that in a second. But here is Byron Donalds on CNN. And Byron Donalds has been out there, congressperson from Fort Myers area. He's just been really fantastic leadership-wise. I know he's been close to Trump and stuff, and he's been very outspoken. And again, doesn't mean I condone everything everyone says. Everyone can speak for themselves, and Congressman Donald certainly can. And let's see what he does here on CNN.
Biden said that he's talking about the comedian, not supporters. What's your response?
My response is that the first statement from Joe Biden is the one that he truly believes. He does not think that people who disagree with him or his party, who support President Trump, are Americans. He thinks
what he's saying, in my opinion, is he said what he thought. He said what he thought. Now they're trying to, again, the Democrats' message is don't believe your lying eyes.
that they're garbage. That's a fact. And the reason what I go back to is
doesn't seem happy over here, CNN. Let's go.
4 years ago, around this same time, it was Joe Biden that went on the Breakfast Club, and he famously said that if you couldn't vote for him, then you weren't black. It's the same Joe Biden made the same type of statement 4 years ago. So this is consistent with who he is.
I mean, listen, I don't want to listen, I didn't say that. That's Congressperson Donald saying that. But Paul, over the years, Biden has said some pretty crazy inflammatory stuff. People want to knock President Trump, and sometimes he deserves it on some of the verbiage and stuff like that. But Joe Biden has said some really, outrageous things, honestly, including about President Obama.
Yeah, that is correct. That's right.
So I mean, so
he has done that. He said a lot of things about a lot of people.
A lot of things about a lot of people. So who is surprised by this? You know what I mean? And I want to go back. Let's go to where we started here. And I don't know if I've got it queued right. And then I'll finish with this, and we'll finish with two Trump statements about the Middle East to just show the difference in leadership. But I don't want to, we've gone along on this one so much. I didn't think it's going to be this, but it's like there's so much stuff going on right here. But let's go back to what Mark Halperin said and his guest, the Democrat, about this, because they're trying to fish out of it a little bit. And let's go right here.
Both ways, Dan.
I see it both ways.
It's un-American.
So,
hold on.
Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
So I see it both ways. Dan, what do you think he meant?
Oh, I think he meant his supporters. With all due respect to my fellow Democrats, I do not think he was just talking about the comedian. I mean, look, there's two things here. One is that, the signs of old age and loss of acuity are that you lose your filter and you get pretty blunt. And when I think of the last couple months, there are a few things that Joe Biden has said that have been helpful to Kamala Harris. I think this is just another instance. I also think, and it's really frustrating, I think it's what he believes.
I think it's what he believes. That's what he's saying. And you saw Sean Spicer there when Halperin's like, oh, I can see both sides of this, and Spicer's like, oh my gosh, like, come on, kind of shaking his head. But here's the punchline right here. And Dan pushes him on it, and Halperin's forced to spill the beans potentially, or at least his candid opinion, in my opinion. Check this out.
And I think we hear
well,
it on
let's be clear. It's what almost every Democrat elected official in the country actually believes.
That is what I was going to be the rest of my sentence. I mean, look, we hear it on this platform, right? That like, how could anyone vote for Donald Trump, and whether they think they're stupid or garbage? And so, just as the comics statement plays to a stereotype of Republicans that Democrats, are jumping all over because they think this is what the Democrats believe, this plays to the stereotype that Democrats are patronizing and condescending. And to your point, Mark, I think it's what Biden really believes. And it's hard to win the other side's voters when you have no respect for them.
That's it. That's politics 101, buddy. Politics is addition, not subtraction. And that's the fundamental flaw with the Democrats and the Democrats' approach and the hard left, stuff like that is, and we've seen this in political movements, and it's the more left they go, they eventually turn on themselves because everything becomes this political litmus test. In modern days, whether it's who's the biggest victim or who's doing things right, it's this moral superiority. It's this looking down, it's this patronizing type of stuff, and or just plays for power. And basically then you're left with less and less supporters, and it's always this fight against it. It's this conflict. Critical stuff is about conflict. You have to have something that you're fighting against, you know what I mean? Something, some evil force out there that you have to critique. And without that, it kind of falls on itself. Paul, is that right or wrong?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, critical theory is basically the way it's designed is set up to, in my understanding, to criticize the West. And of course, theoretically, it can be used to criticize anything or any system, but that's the system that it was designed to critique what is wrong with different aspects of the West or objective truth, so on and so forth, things along those lines. Yeah. So they're right. In that system, as in Marxism, which of course it did influence it, as you mentioned earlier, there's a bad guy. There is, there's proletariat and bourgeois, and so on and so forth. And critical theory does borrow off of that, and so you do get those type of themes, which is really unfortunate.
Absolutely. And then, they've got stuff here. There's election stuff. We'll cover that in another thing. But basically, like, the signs are not looking good. CNN ran a thing where it's like when the right track, wrong track's this low, approval ratings are this low, it's just not happening. And, you're not going to win. And also in party registration in the swing states, it's looking good for Trump. A lot of things are looking good for Trump. Obviously, the Democrats think they've got their things that make them feel like they're going to win. You also had some comments from Walls. I'm not really going to play them because it's just people asking about it, and it's kind of evasive. I will play this, though, before I forget. And this is very odd. And again, I'm only going to play, and then we'll go to Trump when we're done. Trump's comments on the Middle East stuff. And I should have played this earlier. Kamala Harris's comments on Vice President Harris's comments about talking with Biden. This is a short clip here from the Trump War Room put up from Fox. Here we go.
Spoken to him about his comments and his he did call me last night, but this didn't come up.
So think about it. President Biden called her last night, but this didn't come up. I mean, is that believable, Paul?
No, it's definitely not. No, it's not.
Who believes that? Who? I mean, this is now one of the biggest issues that can't. Who believes that? Why would you? And talk about what? You don't talk about this. Like, I mean, are they even seeing it together in the campaign? Are they letting Biden campaign? That's insane, dude. Like, who believes that? Now, I'm going to put this up here as well before. So we're going to work very fast here. Bad Hombre may have a source in the Harris campaign. Had some big comments here, and we'll look at it. Bad Hombre. Okay. And Kamala Harris's campaign is in full crisis mode. Following her speech last night, Harris urgently convened an emergency message with spokesman Ian Sams, communication director Michael Taylor, campaign manager Julie Chavez, and a deputy campaign manager Quentin Folks to strategize on mitigating the fallout from Biden's remarks, referring to Trump supporters as quote-unquote garbage. During the meeting, Chavez remarked to Kamala that unless Biden gets this blank under control now, we're blanked. It's over. Okay? So Harris contacted the White House requesting direct conversation with President Biden to urge him to retract his remarks in full and apologize. However, she was redirected to the White House communications director, Ben LeBolt, who informed her that the president's only concession would be to issue a clarifying statement, which he posted on X, but only aggravated the situation. So we have two very competing stories about what happened last night, Paul. Vice President Harris comes out and says that Biden called her, but that this didn't come up. Then we have this alleged detailed report from inside the campaign that they're in crisis mode, that Kamala tried to call him, that their advisors were worried about this, and that Biden says that he's not going to retract it and he's going to issue a statement, which he in fact did issue. So which version do you believe?
I believe the one from Bad Hombre. I think that's more realistic about what might have taken place.
Doesn't that make more sense, players? I'm not alleging anything, but doesn't that make more sense? So if that's in fact what happened, then what do you make of what Kamala Harris just said? I mean, go ahead.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she's doing there. Really don't.
So this is the thing, as you said, Paul, and it comes, I mean, all these things, this is why I lay these things out in detail, and we put so many things on the table because they all come back around. As Trump would say on Rogan, the weave. It's like Kamala Harris, nobody knows who knows who and to quote Slim Shady, will the real Kamala Harris please stand up? What is she really going to do when she's in there? You've so many different competing messages. It's all over the place. Whoa, we love Trump supporters. No, they're evil people, and that was a Germany type rally. No, I talked to Biden, but this didn't come up. Versus like, he didn't mean it. He was just talking about, it's so bad, but he didn't mean it. And it's like, it was just about what Tony Hinchcliffe was saying. It's a mess. And Trump is saying that, listen, you may not even like me, but I'm going to make sure we're going to go back to peace and prosperity. Look at what I did before. I'll do it again. That's a simple message. We love everyone. That's a simple message. Those are simple messages. And to that extent, he's wading straight into the Middle East thing here. And again, what's Kamala Harris's position on the Middle East? We don't know that. In fact, you have people from the Jewish community and the imams and people from the Muslim community that are endorsing President Trump because it's a super serious situation. And maybe some people feel like they don't know what Kamala is going to, if it's more of the same, they don't want it. So here's what Trump has said about the Middle East stuff. I'll let him speak for himself. This came out today. From Real Donald Trump, 19 million followers is the real deal. During my administration, and it was actually a really good thing. And I'm not going to play it now, but we'll play it like where they were showing like the inside the Trump campaign where he was doing live tweets and he was like dictating his tweets. I mean, he really does this. During my administration, we had peace in the Middle East, and we will have peace again very soon. I will fix problems caused by Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and stop suffering and destruction in Lebanon. I want to see the Middle East return to a real peace, a lasting peace, and we will get it done properly so it doesn't repeat itself every 5 or 10 years. I will preserve the equal partnership among all Lebanese communities. Because you have different things going on over there in Lebanon. If I remember correctly, I may be wrong, but I think like the government's basically, or at least it was like 1/3 Shia, 1/3 Sunni, Muslim, and 1/3 Christian communities over there. I think that's right, roughly. I may be wrong. I apologize if I am. Your friends and family in Lebanon deserve to live in peace, prosperity, and harmony with their neighbors, and that can only happen with peace and stability in the Middle East. I look forward to working with the Lebanese community living in the United States of America to ensure the safety and security of the great people of Lebanon. Vote Trump for peace. And he also followed that up. I mean, very strong statement there by President Trump. Also followed that up here with another statement about Coptic Christians. Okay. And let's go there. And he's already had statement. He's had about supporting Benjamin Netanyahu and Israel and everything like that. And this is a story right here to the Coptic Christian community living throughout the United States. And those are folks, throughout the Middle East, definitely in parts of Gaza and Egypt and other places as well. I deeply admire your steadfast faith in God. That's Coptic Christian Orthodox. And again, if I get it wrong, I do apologize. Perseverance through centuries of persecution and love for this great country. I am counting on your support and vote to uphold our shared social and family values and continue to make America great again. So, Paul, two very different views, very different aspects here. Very touchy situation over there. He's already telling them policy and leadership and showing different things of what he'll do as president. I think it's a very different outlook than the Harris campaign. Do you agree or disagree in regards to the Middle East?
Yeah, I think it's totally different. And I think that's why he's getting so much support from both sides. I think people understand that he will try to have and create peace as quickly as possible and in a way that worked. We know it's the Abraham Accords.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people felt very good about that. Yeah, that's why I think that people on both perspectives on what is taking place in the Middle East are supporting him, because they both feel like they can get to a point that is better than where we're at now, which is, of course, occurring with the oversight of President Biden and Vice President Harris.
Absolutely. And there's a quote. Oh, yeah, this is, you know what? I will play one last thing. Here. And this is from your governor, Paul, Josh Shapiro. Also, Bill Ackman. I may throw something in Bill Ackman in because he just had a really great podcast. And he basically was talking about, look, the team of Trump is way better. But Josh Shapiro, I really think that Josh Shapiro should have been the Democrat nominee.
Governor,
I think that was the way to go. They should have gone, and at the very least, he should have been the VP pick. And you've got Josh Shapiro here, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania, asking to comment on the from last night, and this is on CNN. Here we go.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin. So I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction.
And if you show the whole clip, you could see his face just look pained, in my opinion.
To it, I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't.
That's a real politician, dude. That's someone that knows what's going on. That's someone that should have been the nominee or should have been the VP nominee, in my opinion. Paul, you agree or disagree?
Yeah, look, I think that, I don't know if he was the best guy, the top guy for the presidential pick, but maybe he was. Certainly, I think he would have been the best choice for VP. I don't think there's any choice about that. And look, any question about that? Look, I personally would choose him over Kamala Harris as a presidential pick. Maybe there's some other people in the mix there, but yeah, I mean, Shapiro is a professional politician. He's been in it for a long time. He's improved. He works at it a lot. So I definitely give him credit for that.
Absolutely. So much more we could say. Bill Ackman had some good stuff. Jamie Dimon's got comments. There's a lot of other things. We'll do the normal stuff later. But I really wanted to we're going to wind down here on this one, but I wanted to take the time to really lay this out as we did, because, a lot of people are trying to say, Paul, that it's a one-off and this was a one-off. I think we've shown I think we did a pretty good job of walking through this. So we hope that it was useful to people out there and you guys appreciate it. So, we look forward. Obviously, we're gonna be covering a lot of other stuff as we lead up into the into Tuesday. It's wild, man. Never just when you think it's gonna calm down, maybe. No, it keeps going, players. So we'll see. Any last comments, Paul, for you? Any comments about this? Predictions? We're starting to head towards the weekend here. It's Wednesday. What forecast is? What can we expect going forward here?
But we have to see how the early voting wraps up. A lot of early voting will be done by 2 days from now on Friday. Look, I think that certainly you'd much rather be in President Trump's position right now than Vice President Harris's position. Still plenty of things can happen, but I think we're getting down to nitty gritty here, and I think Polymarket basically has Trump at about a 2-to-1 odds right now, and I would pretty much agree with that.
There it is. Hey, we definitely appreciate everyone out there. Thanks so much. We appreciate all of you on Rumble, YouTube, X, Facebook, the rest of them. May or may not post this on LinkedIn. Lots to talk about here. And that's kind of the point that we try to make, is that, listen, it's not just about, gotcha, they said this, we said this, and then, good, bad, A, B, blue, red, all that type of stuff. It's more like, look, trying to give the context. There's two competing visions of America and where it's going to go. And in terms of how also the leaders, interact with the people potentially and the voters. And I think that's, it's a choice here, and we'll see what people want to do. And so, all we're trying to do is talk about things, lay it out, and let people decide, and that's it. But we appreciate you out there. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to your comments. I'll try to respond to the ones that I can. And that's it. So yeah, for Paul, I'm John. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.